So the season finale of Hawkeye just dropped, and it was probably easily the best episode of the season with everything that they had inside of it. So I'm going to go ahead and give my spoilery review. It just came out yesterday. But again, I'm not going to wait to not give a spoiler review on it. So if you enjoyed this video today, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content. Again, this is a spoiler warning for episode 6 of Hawkeye. So, I mean, I loved how much Kingpin we got in this episode. We got a lot more of him than I honestly expected them to give. I loved all the interactions that we had with him. Vincent D'Onofrio, I mean, being back as Kingpin, he was fantastic in Daredevil and everything that he was in the Netflix shows. So seeing him just back in his prime in Kingpin was fantastic because he's honestly, I can't imagine another actor being Kingpin besides him. And then we got to see Kate and Clint make like the dangerous trick arrows together and stuff, which was cool to see the process, kind of like how we get to see Iron Man tinker with his suits and stuff like that. But I think what's also cool about this is that I think it'll establish the fact that Kate knows how to do this herself in the future, so she can now make her own arrows and she won't necessarily need Clint's help. And then the interactions with Kate and Yelena were great, and I think it honestly looks like, I mean, from everything we've seen in this series so far, it looks like that it's going to be setting up to be a more permanent friendship between the two of them. And then, I mean, in general, Yelena stole basically every scene that she was in my opinion, especially with the conversation between her and Clint about Natasha's death. I mean, it was just great acting, in my opinion, so I can't wait to see more Yelena. I don't know where she would show up next, though, but she was great in this series. And then, I mean, the entire action sequence on the ice rink was just, I mean, it was great. It was obviously the best, probably, bit of action we've gotten in this series so far. I will say my one beef with the action sequences in this entire series is I feel like at least 80% of the action sequences took place in the dark, so it was kind of very hard to see, especially if you're watching this in the daytime when you first wake up on a Wednesday or something like that. Like with all the light and just trying to watch it at the same time, it just makes it very hard to kind of see and keep track of what's going on. I don't know if that was intentional or not, so it maybe gives off the illusion that it's better than it is. It still looked fine to me, but I don't know. I just wish that some of the action sequences had better lighting. And then the entire action sequence with Wilson Fisk and Kate Bishop was absolutely phenomenal because, I mean, I wasn't entirely too sure if this version of Wilson Fisk was going to be kind of as strong as he's supposed to be, but they definitely delivered on that front because I was just blown away. Like when she shoots the arrow at him and it like literally sticks into his body and then he just kind of like chops the end of it off and just keeps walking like he was completely unfazed, and then he's just able to toss Kate Bishop around so seamlessly. Like they literally made him appear as if he was an unstoppable force, and I think that's exactly what Kingpin should be like, so I think that was awesome to see. We also got the closure and the confirmation that the watch, that was kind of like one of the unanswered questions so far, the watch belonged to Clint's wife, who was confirmed with this scene to be Mockingbird, because on the back of the watch was a SHIELD symbol, which obviously represented that she worked for SHIELD, and then the number 19. So that stood for Agent 19, who in the comics is Mockingbird. So that was cool to see as well, and I think with that, it honestly answered basically all the questions of this season, I guess. I can't really think of any other questions that potentially went unanswered, which is obviously a good thing, because it wouldn't have been good if they didn't. Like it, I feel like this last episode didn't feel rushed, and all of the questions ended up answered by the end. So I think that in general just makes it a plus. And then the post-credit scene was nothing too serious. It was just the full musical number from Rogers the Musical, which I thought was fun to see. I was hoping there was going to be a little bit more, since this is kind of like our last piece of Marvel content for the rest of the year. But I mean, they did also just release the Multiverse of Madness trailer online for everybody to see the same day that this came out, so that was probably why, maybe just to give us a little bit more. But overall, this was obviously the best episode in the season, and I will also add that I for sure don't think Wilson Fisk is dead, and the reason being is because the exact same scene when Echo shoots him is also straight from the comics. She shoots him in the head after finding out that he killed her father, and he only goes blind temporarily as a result. He doesn't die. So that, coupled with the camera panning away, so we didn't exactly see the aftermath of what happened, I think are for sure indicators that he's coming back. I also wouldn't understand why they finally bring Kingpin in just to toss him away like that. I think that just wouldn't make sense to me. Now, as far as kind of the canonicity of the Netflix shows, I could be wrong, but I didn't pick up on anything specifically that confirmed that they were canon. However, it does look like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is no longer canon, because there was a character in that show that played Mockingbird. So now that is obviously kind of retconned with Laura Barton, as far as we know, being Mockingbird. Well, we know she is Mockingbird, but it's retconned as far as we know, because it could very well be a thing where Agent 19 could be like a 007 type thing, maybe, where it's passed down, or, I mean, I don't really know my James Bond, but I don't know if that's correct, but it could just be, a code name that gets tossed around from person to person. Who knows, but it looks like that they retconned Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with that. Just because they retconned Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., though, doesn't necessarily mean the Netflix shows are also retconned and not canon. We're just honestly going to have to wait and see. But I mean, overall, the show was fantastic. I don't think it was better than Loki. I still think Loki is the best Disney Plus series we've gotten so far. But I think Hawkeye is probably at least on par with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, at least. The only reason why I wouldn't say it's better is because I did enjoy the fight sequences more in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But I might have to go back and rewatch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because the actual interactions in Hawkeye I did enjoy a lot more. I would put WandaVision over them as well, but the whole Ralph Boner thing at the end of WandaVision and the last episode of WandaVision feeling slightly rushed kind of just dampers WandaVision, in my opinion, a little bit. So I think I might go back and rank all the Disney Plus shows and see which ones I truly think are better than the other. But overall, I thought Hawkeye was great. Comment down below if you liked this last episode and if you like the series in general. And I appreciate you for watching the video.